Hi, this is David coming to you today from Rialto Beach in La Push, Washington. It's a pretty rough Pacific Ocean behind me today, but I am grateful it's sunny outside. It's been rainy pretty much since I've been here, so anytime you get some sun up here in the Pacific Northwest, you tend to take it here in September. And so, welcome MSOM 601. Did I already say that? If I did, sorry for repeating that. But I'm going to do Lesson 5 review today and Lesson 6 preview. It's getting close to the end of class, so just a few weeks to go. So let's talk a little bit about Lesson 5. The first discussion question this week talked about the importance of assessing the audience. Now, when I would work with salespeople back in my old job, that's one of the first things that we would do. We would assess the audience, find out perhaps what their needs were, or what we thought their needs were. Talk about people in key positions, so that whenever we would go in and make a presentation, we were able to understand perhaps what their biases were, what their predispositions were. And so assessing the audience is incredibly important, not only just in sales, but also in solving problems. Because if you are approaching a problem without a firm understanding of the audience that you'll be chatting with, that are impacted by the problem, then you're missing out on a very, very key point. So, excuse me. So I appreciated the comments that you had this week on that critical element of problem solving. The second discussion question really dealt with the walk from no to yes. And I hope you really had a chance to watch this video. In case you haven't figured it out, I really love some of the TED videos, because I think they make you think, which is what critical thinking is all about, right? They make you think, they make you consider other alternatives. And so this entire discussion on the walk from no to yes had a couple of real key points in it that really struck me. And the one point that I always like on this one is when the speaker talked about the importance of going to the balcony. Going to the balcony. Now think about that for a second. You know, many times we just want to get mixed up right in the middle of the issue, when sometimes we need to take a step back, rise above the issue, and look at it from some different perspective. And so that whole phrase of go to the balcony has really stuck with me over the years. And so think about that one, and hopefully that'll stick with you as well. The other element in that presentation that stuck with me was to talk about the third side. So we always think there are two sides to every argument. As a matter of fact, there's a phrase that says there are two sides to every argument. Well, what the speaker talks about in this one is find the third side. Perhaps there is a third side to every argument. And so the applications that he had and the examples that he provided, I thought were fantastic. And so I hope you enjoyed Discussion Board 2 this week. And then finally, the assignment this week talked about empathy plus sincerity equals persuasion. And I haven't started grading these yet, but I'm really going to be interested to take a look at your submissions in this section. For those of you who've had MSOM 602, which is the servant leadership course, you'll recall that one of Spear's 10 servant leadership characteristics is empathy. And so in order to lead properly, according to Spears, one of the key elements is empathy. But empathy without sincerity sometimes will be noticed very, very quickly. I find that people are just really smart today, and they can spot a fake from a mile away. And so one of the key elements is not just to simply have empathy, but to have sincerity. And if you have empathy and sincerity, according to the readings this week, then that is one key element of persuasion in problem solving, persuasion in other types of issues. So I hope you enjoyed that this week as well. Let's jump forward to Lesson 6. You have 2 discussion boards this week and 1 assignment. Discussion Board 1 talks about subject matter experts. And you'll see a video on this one on how and when to use SMEs. And so the reason that I like this video, again, one of the things you'll find out about me, I always like to take the contrarian view sometimes, just to either prove that I'm thinking properly or really to get some new understanding. And so that whole video really talked about when and when not to use subject matter experts. Many times today we will fall over ourselves to read or find the latest person who has some new thought on something, when in fact we need to also examine the credibility, the thoughts, and just because it's new and just because that person has a expert title around them, that doesn't necessarily convey total understanding on those issues. So be looking forward to your comments on that one. The second discussion this week is another really, really good one, I think, because it talks about systems thinking. And there's a whole movement that talks about systems thinking today. And this is a new discussion board I put in for this class. This isn't one that I've historically had in the class, but I ran across this one recently, and the example of drawing toast. And if you begin to think about that on a singular perspective versus the team perspective, as you'll see in this video, perhaps it will help you crystallize some methodologies to do really good critical thinking as part of a group. Now, all of us like to work alone, I think, sometimes, and that's the reason I never have group projects in graduate level courses. I didn't like them. I had some and I hated them. And so I don't have you all do any of those. But sometimes, when you look at it from a team perspective, it's very valuable. And so systems thinking, drawing toast is the second discussion board question this week. And so I hope you enjoy that one as well. And then finally, the application exercise is an application on subject matter experts. I want you to identify some of the SMEs in Amina's story. And how were they used? Why were they used in particular in those areas? And what you'll find a lot of correlation between subject matter experts and their critical thinking styles. So you may find yourself being a bit redundant on this one from perhaps your discussions earlier on Kevin Gerard and Lieutenant Colonel Bellin, and that's okay, because again, I would much prefer that you begin to draw the connection between subject matter experts, critical thinking styles, and all of those things, so that perhaps in the future you'll be able to use those and connect the dots for other people who may be working for you. All right? Well, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm still going to be out here in the Pacific Northwest for a while, so if you need me, make sure you contact me. And in the meantime, study hard. Chat with you soon. Take care.